Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Beth and a young man named Ben. The two of them were in love and decided to get married. Sometime after their marriage, they found out they were expecting twins. First came Lorin, then came Matthew. Lorin was born a healthy and happy baby, but Matthew wasn't like his twin sister. He was born with Down syndrome. Their parents went through all stages of reaction that is expected when finding out your child has a disability. First denial, then anger, then grief of loss, and lastly fear. Instead of a time of happiness and celebration, the couple was mourning. After numerous doctor's appointments and therapies, the family finally got used to the swing of things. They accepted the fact that Matthew will not grow and develop at the same rate as Lorin will, and that they will need to go through extra measures for the care of their son. Growing up, Lorin helped her mom and dad around the house and with her brother Matthew. She sometimes took extra time to cook dinner or clean the house. She also made sure to always include her brother and help him with the things he couldn't always do on his own. She was always delighted to see her brother succeed and conquer his accomplishments, even when they were just small steps forward. The family of four was very close and did a lot of activities together. They watched Matthew's favorite television shows weekly, and they played many games together for Matthew's sake. Because of her surroundings and growing up with a sibling who was different, Lorin learned to be inclusive, especially at school, and to treat everyone equally. Because of Lorin's environment and her interactions with her brother, she grew up quicker and realized that everyone is the same and should be treated that way. It wasn't always easy growing up in a family with a disabled child. A lot of the time, Lorin didn't get as much attention as her brother did. Her parents were always busy worrying about Matthew and tending to his needs that Lorin was usually forgotten about. She didn't get the attention she needed from her parents during her first few years of life because they were occupied in figuring out Matthew's needs. Because of that, Lorin developed a sense of mistrust, and she found it very difficult to let people in. She couldn't make herself open up to her friends and classmates. Because her parents didn't spend as much time with her, Lorin had to learn to do things on her own. She was a fast-developing child, so as she grew up and accomplished things on her own, she felt a form of initiative. Lorin also suffered from role confusion as a teen. She spent a lot of time taking care of her brother and attending to his needs that she never saw herself as an individual. She only saw herself as Matthew's sister. It took Lorin a long time to figure out who she really was. Living in Lorin's house was difficult at times for her. Lorin knew her parents loved each other, but it seemed that they fought the majority of the time. It seemed like an abnormal amount compared to her friends' parents. A lot of the time, her parents worried about money and how they were going to afford special childcare for Matthew while they were at work. They also fought about how much they should allow their family and friends to help out. They loved their family and were grateful for their friends, but it was hard accepting all the help from the people surrounding them. It made Lorin's parents feel weak at times. They didn't have much time to go out, just the two of them, because they often couldn't find someone who could take care of both Lorin and Matthew, especially Matthew, who wasn't comfortable with people he didn't know well. Lorin loved Matthew, but a lot of the time she felt like her parents loved him more than her. She felt neglected and was jealous of the attention Matthew got. She started to form a lot of resentment towards him, and she blamed him for her parents' disagreements. She felt bad for the feelings she was having towards her brother, but she couldn't help it. One day at school, Lorin noticed 3 boys laughing and snickering. She was intrigued at what they were doing until she realized they were making fun of a kid a few years younger than her with autism. She knew it wasn't right, and it wasn't moral, from living with a brother with Down syndrome. She was very angry, so she decided to say something for Matthew's sake. She stood up to the boys and told them what they were doing was completely wrong. After that incident, she started to feel sympathy for her brother. She didn't completely forget about the struggles she had growing up, but she did learn to not blame her brother for their family's financial situation and their parents fighting. She knew it wasn't his fault and that he couldn't do anything about it. Lorin stopped feeling resentment towards her brother. She loved him very much, and as they grew older, she was glad she could always go to him and that he'd always love her no matter what she did.